Welcome to the Sleuth Intuition YouTube channel. Sit back, relax and chillax for a few.
Just take it easy, man. You know, that's your answer for everything, dude. Now just go, oh. What? Do it, man. Oh. 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 Shit.
Don't be a scrub.
No scrubs?
Hit the thumbs up. Welcome to the Sleuth Intuition YouTube channel. Sit back, relax and chillax for a few.
Just take it easy, man. You know, that's your answer for everything, dude. Now just go, oh. What? Do it, man. Oh. 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 Shit.
What is up, everybody? Never mind the thunder. Hopefully my power doesn't go out. Looks like we're getting hit pretty hard. Well, I'm going to welcome everybody back. Of course, here's part 2 as promised. If you missed part 1, that's okay. You can go check it out at another time. It's a little bit long. We're going to try to move this one a little bit along a little quickly, a little more smooth. So with that being said, let's just jump right in.
Have been talking to police and family members as the 1-year mark approaches in the case. This week marks the first year since the deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German. Investigators want to make sure they are on the right track. Call 6 investigates Paris Lubell with a story you'll see only on RTV6.
The investigation has drawn tens of thousands of tips and produced thousands of leads, and finding Abby and Libby's killer remains the top priority. Call 6 Investigates has learned investigators have turned to different law enforcement agencies to review their work. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation and agents from other FBI field offices have taken a second look at the case. Their recommendations and conclusions are not being released, but their expertise is meant to assist in making sure no stone is left unturned. The prime suspect in this case remains the guy behind this sketch and this voice. This case has led investigators to follow up on tips across the country, including one here in Colorado. And in the past year, that person is the only person to be publicly identified by police as a person of interest in the case. It was these trails about an hour south of Denver where police say Daniel Nations was threatening people with a hatchet. In September, Nations was arrested in Colorado and charged with menacing. Colorado investigators also found that he was wanted in Indiana for failing to register as a sex offender. Investigators on the Delphi case flew out to Denver to question him as he faced a number of court hearings with no connection to the Delphi case. For the next 2 months, Nations was transferred to 2 other Colorado counties to answer 2 unrelated charges. Call 6 was there in a Colorado courtroom in late January when Nations was going to be released on his own recognizance for providing false identification to officers in Clear Creek County, Colorado. That's when an updated warrant from Indiana appeared. The felony warrant out of Johnson County is for failure to register as a sexual violent offender. Originally, the warrant wasn't extraditable from Colorado, but it was updated on January 10th to allow for extradition from anywhere in the U.S. Now Nations is back in Indiana to answer to those charges. State police still say Daniel Nations is only a person of interest, and detectives do not have enough information to include nor exclude him as a suspect. Now, we reached out to state police. They say they don't discuss specifics of the investigation, but they did release a statement to us. It says, in part, it is common with complex investigations to share information with other police agencies. Information shared between these agencies does become part of the investigation.
Well, I find it strange when it comes to Daniel Nations that they went down there to talk to him, but they never really told us what happened. They never said, yeah, we got his DNA. Wasn't a match. You know, they don't ever say anything like that. For all we know, they went down there and Daniel Nations' attorney's like, we're not helping you at all. Like, we're not going to give you a sample. We're not going to give you a statement. We're not doing any of that. Now, if anybody wants to call in and join the live stream, feel free. There is the link there. Let me see if I can pin that. There we go.
Sheriff Tobe Lesby with the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. On this side, FBI Special Agent Mike Peasley, and then First Sergeant Jerry Holman. They're going to discuss to you they're going to discuss today the things that have been going on over the last year with this case. Superintendent Carter will do most of the talking, and at this time I'll turn over the podium to him. Thank you.
Well, first of all, welcome. I didn't really know what to expect when I stood on this trail just a little bit ago, over the course of the last 15 minutes, but very uncomfortable feeling. We're a year today. I would be remiss to not talk about the people that have made this whole for the first year without an arrest. We talked about Sheriff Linsonby, who stands behind me to the left, and Kevin Hammond, Mike Peasley with the FBI, Jerry Holman over my right shoulder, Steve Buckley, the new prosecutor Nick McClelland here in Carroll County. What I've seen over this course of the last year are memories and times and comments and things that will stand with me and live with me for the rest of my life. The very best of humanity.
What's up, Joe?
In the very worst of times. I was able to see from afar this community in Carroll County and the city of Delphi come together and support not only law enforcement, the people that were here that have given so much of their lives to this case, but also to the families. And I just wanted to say I am forever humbled. I don't know what you expected today, but I came to plead and implore you to keep this out front and center. I've said before, and I'm confident I'll say again, I hope that one day when we all meet Abby and Libby that they tell us you did well. That's my hope. We cannot allow evil to prevail. Our world is completely out of balance, and we cannot allow that to prevail. I've said all along that we, as an agency, will be here as long as I'm breathing and as long as Governor Holcomb allows me to continue to stay in the position that I hold. I have the opportunity to brief him regularly. This isn't about how many hours we spend. It's not about how much it cost. It's about every single asset that the ISP has we will give to this sheriff, this community, and to each and every one of you, because I refuse to accept evil as a standard bearer in American society, not here. People have oftentimes asked me, why is this so personal to you? It's personal to me because those two young girls were everybody's daughter in this beautiful place that represents the very best of humanity. And look what happened. That's why it's very personal to me. And I just hope that one day I can look into the eyes of a murderer and ask him why. And I believe that we will. I believe that we will. I know you have a bunch of questions for me. But please understand, if the question has to do with the investigative process, tactics associated with the investigation, what only the killer would know, that we know, I can't answer your question. And I just ask for you to please understand that when we open this up. Many people have said, did you think it'd be a year? I don't know. I don't know. How do you answer that question? I believe we're one piece of the puzzle away from figuring out who this individual is. Then the real work begins. Over 30,000 tips. Thank heavens the FBI was engaged with us, with the Orion system and the expertise that the FBI brought from all over the country to allow us to manage that kind of data. We've had inquiries and requests for discussion from agencies all over the country, not only because this is such a high-profile case, but because of the complexities associated with the time since we found their bodies a year ago tomorrow. As I close my comments to you, I want to say thank you. I've had the pleasure of having relationships with our local media and our statewide media and even our national media for more than 30 years. I appreciate our partnership. I appreciate our partnership. I've had the opportunity to travel.
Oh, here we go.
This community in Carroll County and the city of Delphi come together and support not only law enforcement, the people that were here that have given so much of their lives to this case, but also to the families. And I just wanted to say I am forever humbled. I don't know what you expected today, but I came to plead and implore you to keep this out front and center. I said before, and I'm confident I'll say again, I hope that one day when we all meet Abby and Libby, that they tell us you did well. That's my hope. We cannot allow evil to prevail. Our world is completely out of balance, and we cannot allow that to prevail. I've said all along that we as an agency will be here as long as I'm breathing and as long as Governor Holcomb allows me to continue to stay in the position that I hold. I have the opportunity to brief him regularly. This isn't about how many hours we spend. It's not about how much it costs. It's about every single asset that the ISP has. We will give to this sheriff, this community, and to each and every one of you, because I refuse to accept evil as a standard bearer in American society, not here. People have oftentimes asked me, why is this so personal to you? It's personal to me because those two young girls were everybody's daughter in this beautiful place that represents the very best of humanity. And look what happened. That's why it's very personal to me. And I just hope that one day I can look into the eyes of a murderer and ask him why. And I believe that we will. I believe that we will. I know you have a bunch of questions for me, but please understand, if the question has to do with the investigative process, tactics associated with the investigation, what only the killer would know that we know, I can't answer your question. And I just ask for you to please understand that when we open this up. Many people have said, did you think it'd be a year? I don't know. I don't know. How do you answer that question? I believe we're one piece of the puzzle away from figuring out who this individual is. Then the real work begins. Over 30,000 tips. Thank heavens the FBI was engaged with us, with the Orion system and the expertise that the FBI brought from all over the country to allow us to manage that kind of data. We've had inquiries and requests for discussion from agencies all over the country, not only because this is such a high-profile case, but because of the complexities associated with the time since we found their bodies a year ago tomorrow. As I close my comments to you, I want to say thank you. I've had the pleasure of having relationships with our local media and our statewide media and even our national media for more than 30 years. I appreciate our partnership. I've had the opportunity to travel to the ever remember having the photograph of a person that we believe is responsible. I don't ever remember having the voice of a person that we think is responsible, or having a sketch of the individual that we believe is responsible. So if all of you closed your eyes for just a moment and you thought of a family member, but you didn't think of them from the neck up, you would know how they stand and the clothes they wore and their posture. You would know that voice. I would know it if it was my father, just like you would know it if it was yours. Somebody out there knows who this person is. And fortunately, I'm not going to say unfortunately, fortunately, we have such a relationship with you that you've kept this front and center, because we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. But you guys are. I don't think there's multiple pieces to the puzzle, ladies and gentlemen. I think there's one piece. And it's having one individual with the strength to say, that was my brother, or that's my dad, or that's my cousin, or that's my neighbor, it's my coworker. That's all we need. And I think we're one piece away. One piece. Good question, Raphael. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, so another good one. How do you measure progress? How do we how do we know if we're making progress? Tips. I think if we do this mathematically, it's over 30,000 tips. I've heard this guy say to me multiple times, Superintendent, when we're out of tips, we're going to start all over with the ones we got. There's this notion that this is cold. It's not cold. This is not going to be cold. I'm not sure where that comes from. So as those tips continue to come in, we'll continue to work them the very, very best that we can. We'll bring detectives in from all the posts around Indiana that I'm responsible for. And we'll the local law enforcement entities that have resources, we'll bring them all together and we'll go out after the tips that we have. That generally leads to more tips, and then can lead to more tips. So we will continue to manage those tips, and when we're all done, we're going to start all over, because that piece of the puzzle's in the pile someplace. Yes, sir. Well, I think the inverse to that statement is, until there's somebody arrested, we're interested in almost everybody. But we, as you all know, we went out to Colorado and we spent a little bit of time with him. And he's not a person that we care a whole lot about at this moment in time. And that's all I'll say about Daniel Nations.
Now a year has gone by. Do you guys have a new path when investigating this case, or is it still relying on those tips that, what you've been doing every day for the last year?
Yeah. I think that repetitive nature is going to reveal something that's right before us, and we just don't know what it is yet.
Superintendent, you have been on the national TV programs. You have harnessed the resources of your agency, also the FBI, Carroll County. Which is something that you have not done, sir. I mean, as you look at your checklist, what have you not done reasonably possible already to look into this case? What is that? Is there something you haven't done?
You're going to get into my soul a little bit with a question like that. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why. I want to tell you why, because of what my eyes have seen and what the eyes of these fellows behind me have seen that you haven't seen. About 3/4 of a mile from here, there is not a day goes by at the end of my day that I don't think, is tonight the night that I'm going to get a call that something bad happened to somebody that I represent, an Indiana trooper someplace in Indiana? Or is there something that we haven't done that we could do? Is there a level of support that I have not given to this sheriff or Jerry Holman and the multitude of resources that we have here in Carroll County? What are we missing? You see, we're human beings just like you. And this continues to play in our minds. Every single morning I wake up and I realize my phone might have rang, but everybody's okay. But is today the day in Delphi? Is today the day in Flora? It comes to my mind every single morning, and sometimes in the middle of the night. So I appreciate the question, Raphael. The answer is absolutely yes. I can speak for myself, and I can't even fathom what the folks standing behind me must think and the way in which it's affected their lives.
It's a good point, Lynn. Or somebody old that knows how.
Question for me. I wish I could answer it. I've said locally, statewide, and even nationally that sometimes our citizenry doesn't trust us. And I acknowledge that and recognize that we are not without sin. I know that. And I would just like to think that the person that might know about this maybe doesn't trust us and doesn't want to tell us. Maybe they don't think we can protect them. Oh yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. And we've got to work to regain that community's trust. these community trusts. And I think that we're getting there. That's not $1 million question. That's $1 billion question. And I'd give my life to be able to answer it. I think that the people that we have talked to at this point in time, we feel confident that there was no involvement. No, we are not. We think that we've released enough now that if there's a possibility of identifying the killer based on that photograph, we'll be able to do that. And that's all I can say about the video and audio that we have. Yeah. As needed, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. That's an investigative process that will continue to perpetuate itself over time. $1 billion question, isn't it? I don't know. As with any major case, it ebbs and flows, right? I mean, the rhythm, it ebbs and flows, and this one is certainly no different. When it does slow down, it gives these incredible servants standing behind me an opportunity to take a breath. Then about the time they get that breath, something else happens, and they fire right back up into high gear. I have no indication to believe that that's going to stop or slow down.
Physically, I'm handling it fine. As Superintendent Carter says, I think about this every night I go to bed. I lay in bed thinking, what could we have done today? Who do we need to follow up on? It's a never ending with me. Weekends, I'm still working on it. There's weekends I've come into the command center and just do stuff on my own just to get stuff done by myself. So it's 24/7 almost for me. It's helped a lot. A lot of the state police that come in from other posts don't know the area, don't know people, so they'll come into me or even Detective Liggett, who's also helped. We help them out, get them to the right people, and follow up where we can. As far as local, the public's been fantastic. The support has been fantastic for Carroll County, from food to snacks to beverages. Just every time I go to a local store, they're, hey, we're thinking of you, we're proud of you. So the local support has just been great. But just stay vigilant. If you see something, let us know. It could be local, could be distance. At this point, we don't know. Again, always be visual of your surroundings when you're out and about. It has. It affects me because I have children at home too. So I am more vigilant with my own children than what I ever was before this had happened.
We had that very conversation, and having, was it going to be in town? Was it going to be at the city building? Was it going to be at the old office on the courthouse square? I was pretty adamant, in my opinion, was that it's where they would last were. And they walked right here. They walked right where I'm standing. I thought that's why it was significant to have it here today. And the response was, "What if it's snowing?" I said, "Who cares?" So I think everybody would agree. Listen, every single opportunity that we get to throw this out to the front, whether it be in a newspaper in small town southern Indiana, or whether it be on a national stage, Dr. Phil was 135 countries and I think 20 million people. Yeah, absolutely, yes. Again, it resonates with the relationship with all of you. Please understand the importance you play and how important it is that you're here. I didn't know what to expect when we flew in, but I looked down and I saw this line of cars, and I'm so grateful, so very grateful to you. It's my hope that the killer's watching us. It's my hope.
Take two more questions.
Keep thinking that. Keep thinking that. Yes, sir.
Just talking to Keegan Klein.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one piece, of course, and I agree with you completely. But that would be one investigative step for us. The other investigative step might be a hunch, might be a notion that someone has. It would be great if someone came out and said, "Yeah, that is this person, first and last name. I know it is," but likely, very likely, from an individual. Yes, yes. No, the science piece of this, I'm going to keep very, very close to the vest. Very close to the vest.
Thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you all very much.
Oh, I always like that part when Randy walks by. So that was 2018, February 13th, 1 year anniversary. It's at this point they've already served search warrants on Tony Klein's residence in response to the Anthony Schatz information that was recovered from the ski mask incident. So that's when they first were on the trail of the whole Anthony Schatz thing. So in 2018, they had already served the search warrant there back in February of 2017. And one of the reporters asks Doug Carter, do you think he thinks he got away with it? It's been over a year. Doug Carter says, we'll let him keep thinking that. That makes me think of he was thinking of like Keegan Klein, maybe some undercover stuff or wire tapping, or who knows what was going on behind the scenes. What's up, Melon? Well, I think they have something called a habitual offender law in Indiana. And if you get in trouble and you get basically listed under that, I guess you can be looking at some real time. Yeah, the CPS building. What's going on with the vehicle there? Um, and why did they choose that location? Why did they feel comfortable parking there if it's even connected? Hmm. Hey, that's a good point, Lynn. So they could have been showing the witness the Anthony Shots picture and being like, "Is this the guy?" And she's like, "No, it looked like this or whatever," and then gave the sketch. And then while the model or image of the model used in the Anthony Shots fake profile, she's like, "All I know is that his eyes weren't blue like that guy." Yeah, it's crazy. So Anthony Shots is running around. Well, Keegan Kline is running around Las Vegas. Who knows? Maybe they were using friend one to like try to get some information from him. Never know what the FBI is up to.
Somebody else's child and destroying another family. Please don't let that happen.
Tonight, the mother of Libby German shares her biggest fears after the death of her teenage daughter and her daughter's best friend, Abby Williams. RTV6's Rafael Sanchez traveled to Kentucky to talk to Libby's mom in her first sit-down interview.
The seasons have come and gone, but Carrie Timmons is still stuck on February 13th, 2017. That morning, she remembers Snapchatting with her daughter Libby.
She sent me, it was, a good morning, beautiful, have a good day Snapchat. And I was on my way to work, and I got one back, and she was laying in the bed. And I was like, "What are you doing in the bed?" "Well, I don't have school today." Lucky. That was our last conversation.
Carrie, at a loss for what to do in the early days, bought a bulb.
I never imagined it would go viral like it did.
An orange one, which is now her porch light, leading others by the thousands to do the same.
I feel like Libby sees it, and it makes me happy.
The bulbs will remain lit until an arrest is made.
I worry about this happening to somebody else. I worry about him getting somebody else's child and destroying another family. Please don't let that happen.
On occasion, she finds herself calling Libby's cell phone, no longer in service. When it was, Libby's voicemail message was comforting. Carrie is proud that her daughter managed to record two key pieces of evidence with her cell phone: the audio and a picture of the prime suspect.
What a presence of mind for your daughter in particular on that day to take that picture.
She's pretty smart.
She was called a hero.
Yes. She's always been my hero.
Libby and her other daughter Kelsey are always in sight. Their pictures adorn her walls. Carrie also spent 20 hours to get this artwork on her left arm. It includes Libby's favorite phrase, "in a minute," and this "I love you" message she wrote in a Mother's Day card.
And we put it on a Post-it because she puts everything on Post-its.
As well as the GPS coordinates to her burial site, which we won't show. That's a special place which can get loud when Carrie pumps up the volume to the Guns N' Roses song Sweet Child O' Mine at the cemetery.
My doors, I open my doors, I turn it up really loud. I do.
So you're that person.
I am.
You're that person.
I am that person. She could turn anybody's frown upside down. Anytime, anyway. She was always joking. She could make anybody's bad day better within minutes. So the world got shortchanged. I did. I know our family did. The girls' sisters did. The cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody did.
Tonight, a mother's love, and Carrie is not done keeping her daughter's legacy front and center, Erica. She's now starting a foundation called Liberty's Legacy.
Very special. What's the focus of that foundation?
The focus of the foundation will be on parents, on children, to advocate for families who are dealing with missing or murdered children.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. We hear so many things about the younger sketch, that it was available on the 17th, but I think a lot of information is, I think it's jumbled and gets mixed around. So, you know, we don't know how accurate that information is. Yeah, I mean, it's common sense. You roll out the model, of course. Like, I mean, how crazy would that be if it was the model? Talk about a conspiracy. He's like, all these people are using my image as a catfish. You know, they would never suspect it was me. What do you mean mask? Mask guy. BG or mask guy? Well, the blue eyes was first mentioned by Kim Riley in the very, very, very first presser. It was like not even like a presser. It was like a, well, I guess it was a presser, but he stated, and he kind of stumbled a few times and slipped up and said she when he was referencing a witness. But the only thing is, he was referencing a witness and he was talking about the release of the old guy sketch. So if the same person who brought up the blue eyes is the same person that helped create the older guy sketch, I don't know if the eyes are included. I don't know if she was able to only see the eyes. I don't know if her recollection was false or maybe was seeing the wrong person. Maybe she was lying. Who knows? But all I know is that she was part of the older guy sketch. What part that was, I don't know. I believe that the younger guy sketch was a sketch from one of the witnesses that may have been on the bridge, and it just kind of sat there on its own. I have a feeling that one of the witnesses gave the sketch, and the young guy sketch sat there. You know, they're like, well, we have this, and, you know, we included the eyes maybe, like in the old guy sketch. And then later on down the line, you know, around 2019, they get new information. And somebody else comes forward and gives a sketch, and it matches the sketch that they've had in their pile. Because they had a whole bunch of sketches. They had like, I don't know, I think they said several. So they got this sketch sitting on, you know, sitting there, matching it to nobody else's. Nobody can corroborate it. Nobody, none of their sketches look like this sketch. All the other sketches look like the searchers, like Mike Patty and all the people that were first on the scene. You know, and it takes time because you have to go and interview all these people. You got to go and individually interview him, and they're like, well, yeah, well, now that I think about it, maybe it is that Mike Patty guy. I keep seeing him on the news, like that might have been the person we've seen. Okay. Now they can remove everything that kind of looks like Mike Patty out of the sketch. But they got to do that with everybody that helped with the sketches. And then they're left with this young guy sketch. And then here comes new information in 2019 that kind of looks a lot like that young sketch that they had. Which interview are you guys talking about? I didn't catch that. Sorry. Yeah, the new technology, but that's because it came from a family member. We know now that the family member, their boots on the ground, but they really don't have that much more information than what you and I have, really. They might have pieces of information that they've held to themselves. Nothing, I'm not talking about anything incriminating or anything like that. I'm just, things that they're holding on to. But law enforcement, when they did the 2019 presser, they said, hey, we just told family about this this morning, few hours ago. The Anthony Shots thing turned into a big controversy with Kelsey. So yeah, sometimes they're just a surprise, shocked. It's a puzzle piece for them as well. Yeah, I don't think the family would be connected. Possibly a family friend, maybe. I don't know. I know that Keegan Kline knew one of Libby's friends' families, so there's a connection there. But I don't think any of the girls' immediate family had anything to do with anything. And I didn't see any mention of impropriety.
Associated to the Delphi killings.
The morning after I woke up in jail.
Nation said 2 inmates woke him in his cell and threatened to kill him. They'd seen him on the news and accused him of killing 2 teens in Delphi.
I wouldn't say that I was as much angry as disgusted. My name has been put with some heinous things in the last 11 months. And for people to not only put my name with something that I had no idea about, but for them to make up stuff along with it. I mean, if you ever look on there, there is the worst excuse for rumors that you've ever heard in your life. And it's truly sad.
Yeah, and all this stuff that I'm showing you is in order. So whenever it came out, that's when I'm showing it to you. So if it seems back and forth, it's not. Second it was published, that's when it's going to get played in that order.
Good evening. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Just a few comments from me, if I could. I'd like to certainly express the condolences of the St. Louis County Police Department regarding the Schmidt family. I've been doing this.
This is a presser for Thomas Jerome Bruce. This is when they first arrested him. I guess they arrested him earlier that morning.
Over 32 years, every homicide's a tragedy. Every sexual assault is a tragedy. But every once in a while, this was one of those times, there's something remarkable about it. And in this case, I found it just very untoward. It shocked the senses. So I want to make sure that the Schmidt family understands that they have the St. Louis County Police Department's condolences, and I believe they have the condolences of our broader community. I want to thank the victims, the surviving victims, for their courage. I want to thank them for their courage and cooperation with these detectives that arrayed to the side of me. I want to thank the public. I want to thank the public for the hundreds of leads that came in on this case. I want to thank the cooperations of the businesses in the area and along Manchester Road. I want to talk a little bit about the dedication of these detectives. Ladies and gentlemen, they worked tirelessly since Monday on this case. They didn't rest, they didn't take a break. They kept going, like they do in many cases that don't get this type of recognition. And I can't tell you how proud I am of these detectives. I'd like to thank the FBI. I had an opportunity to liaise with the special agent in charge and his staff since Monday regarding this. The FBI has been very helpful on some parts of evidence that we're trying to gather, or we have gathered, I should say, in this case. And I'd like to thank Mr. McCullough, our prosecuting attorney, for the careful consideration in this case. I'll be available for some questions after Mr. McCullough speaks and talks specifically about the charges. And I would like to present to you our prosecuting attorney, Mr. Baumer.
Echo to a part of what the Chief Baumer had to say about our sympathies going out to the family. It is, as you mentioned, every homicide is a tragedy. A case like this is just especially heartbreaking. And you see what went on, what happened, and just the senselessness of all of it that went on. Just how it all came about and everything that went. So we will do our best to meet with the family when they're ready to sit down and talk and go through the process with them. But suffice it to say at this point that we filed a total of 14 counts against Thomas Bruce. Bruce has been identified as the person who entered the store and committed these variety of crimes. He's been charged with murder in the first degree, 3 counts of sodomy, 3 counts of kidnapping, burglary, tampering with evidence, and 8 counts of armed criminal action. That's 1 count for the major charges that are in there. The tampering deals with attempting to dispose of some of the clothing that was ultimately recovered. And echo again the work of the police department and people in my office, assistants and investigators in the office who are working with the police to kind of keep this going. And
Yeah, it's kind of interesting on this case here, Thomas Jerome Bruce, how he was charged with breaking in and trying to recollect the evidence that they had, the jacket and the hat. And it was the same jacket and hat that appeared in the description of the older bridge guy. So, I mean, Thomas Bruce is interesting to me.
And provide whatever assistance they need in terms of advice, warrants, search warrants, and the like. There's still a great deal of investigation ongoing. There'll be several search warrants issued. Mr. Bruce, as we can tell at this point, has no criminal record, although he is still being run through several national databases that may very well turn up some additional information. So as it stands right now, they said he's charged with the 14 counts. As you know, murder in the first degree carries a potential death sentence. The kidnappings are all Class A felonies carrying up to life in prison. The tampering with the evidence of burglary first carries up to 15 years. The armed criminal actions, a minimum of 3. And the tampering up to an additional 4 years in the penitentiary. And I think I mentioned that the tampering deals with his attempt to dispose of the clothing that he was wearing at the time of these horrific acts. So with that, if I didn't say it, I meant to, that like every criminal defendant, Mr. Bruce is presumed innocent unless until proven guilty, and these are mere allegations at this point.
Mr. McCullough, will you seek the death penalty?
Well, you know, the aggravating circumstances are certainly there. That's part of it, and it's, as you know, Kevin, from over years, it's a process that takes some time. So the aggravators are there. There's other stuff to look at. There's more information that will be coming in. It is not something that will be able to be completed before the end of the year. So the next prosecutor administration will have to make that final decision. But certainly the aggravating circumstances exist.
Any idea what fuel?
So yeah, Thomas Bruce always I mean, the MO, everything was the same, you know? What's the difference between taking somebody down a hill and like over a creek and like, you know, in the backwoods, or if you're in a concrete jungle and you take somebody in a back room to the back and try to force them to do something like he did. And then the second the young lady didn't do what he said, he shot her. And then he got what he wanted from the other ones and they lived. So if anybody fought back against him, they died.
To find out who did this, and we will. We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building in the city of Delphi that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North, next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway, between the hours of noon to 5 on February 14th, 2017. If you were parked there or know who was parked there, please contact the officers at the command post at the Delphi City Building. We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. Please keep in mind,
what's up, Dave?
The person talking is one person and is the person on the bridge with the girls. This is not two different people speaking. Please listen to it very, very carefully. We are also releasing video recovered from Libby's phone. This video has never before been previously released. The video shows a suspect walking on the bridge. When you see the video, watch the person's mannerisms as they walk. Watch the mannerisms as he walks. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know? Remember, he is walking on the former railroad bridge. Because of the deteriorated condition of the bridge, the suspect is not walking naturally due to the spacing between the ties. During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders of these two little girls. We also believe this person is from Delphi, currently or has previously lived here, visits Delphi on a regular basis, or works here. We believe this person is currently between the age range of 18 and 40, but might appear younger than his true age. Directly to the killer.
Did he say Dirk?
Who may be in this room. Killer might appear younger than his true age. Directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you, and you want to know what we know. And one day, you will. A question to you. What will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls? 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing. We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know because of how different you are since the murders. We try so hard to understand how a person could do something like this to two children. I recently watched a movie called The Shack. And there's also a book that talks so well about evil, about death, and about eternity. To the murderer, I believe you have just a little bit of a conscience left. And I can assure you that how you left them in that woods is not what they're experiencing today. To the family, I hope that you all will give them some time, because we're going to be asking that there's no media inquiry or no media response for at least the next 2 weeks, and I hope you understand why. The family found out about this information this morning. I just want the family to know that when I take my last breath on this earth, I'll be thinking of them. There's going to be a tremendous amount of questions. I know that. Never in my career have I stood in front of something like this. Please be patient with us, please. We're just beginning. We are just now beginning. And I can tell you on behalf of the sheriff and the police chief, so many other partners that have stood with us over this period of time, that we will not stop.
I just unveiled the person that we believe responsible for the murder of these 2 little girls. So I invite media to take a look at that now. It's not up. Kim? We're also going to show you a video not previously released that the superintendent spoke to, and also the audio that's additional to what's been previously released. There's only a slight change in it. So give Sergeant Riley just a second as he gets that up and ready. Stand by for the video, please. There is no sound of the video. As Superintendent Carter mentioned, he is on the railway bridge. You have to take different steps to get to it. This information later this afternoon will be on the State Police website. For the community that's here, we have 100 copies of the news release. If you put in that URL, you'll be able to get to that site to play it. And we also have that same release for you in the media. And the rest of the state will get that release in about 15 minutes. So we appreciate those of you that came here. This concludes our announcement. Thank you for your time, patience, and courtesy.
Just that video with no audio, or will there be audio as well?
There's just the video. There's no audio.
Video, no audio.
What we just played.
Yep. Roll that again.
Yeah.
Roll that again.
Go ahead. Yeah, we'll run the video for you again. We're going to switch to our website, and it should be able to continue to play there. No, it's not. Okay, the video now playing is from the State Police website. The website has been updated with the audio track. Those of you that have visited that site before, you'll be able to find it there. And we will leave it running on that computer screen, and we'll leave it running here for the next 10 minutes. Thank you. Any media that doesn't have the release yet, raise your hand. Sergeant Slocum, Sergeant Boner will get it to you.
Does all the media have a release that wants one? Where's Dave? Dave. Trying to get that out. Where's the car? You're asking where the car was. That should be right. Was that the old CPS building welfare office? Yeah, it's not in here. It's okay. It's okay.
Had a couple of questions asked about the car. The car we're looking for was on February 13th. May have been said the 14th before. It was February 13th. The vehicle was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building, abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North, next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway. That was between the hours of noon and 5 on February 13th. I do not have a description.
Can you do the description one more time of the vehicle?
One more time for everybody that didn't get that. We're looking for the identity of the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North, next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway, between the hours of noon and 5 on February 13th. That's all the information I have.
We got that.
New lead in the unsolved murders of 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German, those two 8th grade girls last seen Snapchatting on a hiking trail in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. But despite this video and audio of the suspect taken from Libby's cell phone, their killer has never been found. Now, more than 3 years later, investigators say they are looking into a person they believe might be connected to the murders. Last week, police arresting 42-year-old James Chadwell, charging him with the kidnapping and attempted murder of a 10-year-old girl in Lafayette, Indiana, about 20 miles away from Delphi. The sheriff telling ABC News there are several factors leading them to look into Chadwell in connection with the Delphi girls, but declining to go into detail. Chadwell has pleaded not guilty to the charges against him and has not responded to requests for comment regarding that possible connection. The murders of Abby and Libby have haunted the town of Delphi for years.
I think of Abby and Libby all the time. I have their names etched in my desk.
Back in 2017, authorities releasing this grainy photo of a suspect they said was on the trail the same day the 8th graders went missing. With no arrests, later releasing this video footage recovered from Libby's cell phone along with audio believed to be the suspect's voice. Police saying they believed Libby recorded it because she feared they were in danger.
Watch the mannerisms as he walks. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know?
Believing the killer was likely a local, investigators initially released this sketch of the suspect. But in 2019, they released a new, younger-looking suspect sketch based on a witness recollection, potentially placing the man between 18 and 40 years old.
To the killer, who may be in this room, we believe you are hiding in plain sight.
Now, Chadwell is due back in court to face charges on June 10th, but certainly we hope those families get some answers soon, George.
My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, the Public Information Officer with the Indiana State Police out of Lafayette Post. While investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz. This profile was being used from 2016 to 2017 on social media applications, including but not limited to Snapchat and Instagram. The fictitious Anthony Schatz profile used images of a known male model and portrayed himself as being extremely wealthy and owning numerous sports cars. The creator of the fictitious profile used this information while communicating with juvenile females to solicit nude images, obtain their address, and attempt to meet with them. Pictured on your screen, you'll see images of the known male model and images of the fictitious profile sent to the underage females. We have already identified the male in these images that were used by Anthony Schatz. The male in the photo is not the person of interest in the investigation. Detectives are seeking information about the person who created the Anthony Schatz profile. Investigators would like any individual who communicated, met, or attempted to meet the Anthony Schatz profile to contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, abbyandlibbytip@cacoshrf.com. Please provide as much information as you possibly can. For example, when you communicated with Anthony Schatz, how you communicated with the profile, what social media applications the account used, and if Anthony Schatz attempted to meet you or obtain your address. If you have saved images,
Man whose pictures were being used by Klein to solicit explicit content from young girls on Instagram.
And she joins us now with what he had to say after the disturbing discovery. Sierra.
Yeah, the man seen in these photos is actually a police officer in Alaska, and the photos that were being used on the Anthony Schatz account ran by Keegan Klein date back to at least 2016.
News 8 tracked down the man whose photos were stolen and used to run a fake account under the name Anthony Schatz that would end up soliciting hundreds of sexual photos and videos from underage girls from 2016 to 2017. The man seen in these photos is a police officer in Alaska as well as a model. We are not sharing his name or personal information to protect his identity. He was shocked to find out that his photos were being scalped from his profile and used to commit such horrid crimes against children thousands of miles from where he lives. He reached out to police after finding out about the profile. I exchanged messages with him after this week's developments. He told me, "I'm very heartbroken to hear what happened to those 2 girls, as I have 2 daughters myself. I'm in contact with the Indiana State Patrol and am helping in any way possible."
Based on his previous post, this is not the first time that the officer's photos have been used to create a fake online profile. He shared that previously his photos were used to create fake online dating profiles as well. Reporting, I'm Sierra Hignite, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
Their investigation into Keegan Kline as part of the investigation into the Delphi murders. Court records revealed Kline is the creator of the fake social media profile Anthony Schatz.
It's been a week since Indiana State Police first told us they were looking for more information into that profile. Now the Carroll County Sheriff tells us they've gotten about 500 tips since.
State Police also acknowledged today that a secondary investigation from information received during the Delphi investigation led them to Kline. You may remember they first learned about him in 2017, but police didn't arrest Kline on child porn charges until 2020.
So police acknowledged that time gap today, but didn't go into explaining why it happened any further. They did say this in a quote: "We do not believe that any person has done anything intentionally wrong, but we will continue to critically evaluate our efforts."
There's still a lot we here at 13 News don't know about this investigation, and we need to be clear, police have never said Kline is a person of interest in the Delphi murders investigation.
State police did release a statement as well, saying, "We know there is enormous interest in the why of everything we do, but we cannot and will not speculate. One day you will have the opportunity to see and know what we do, and we look forward to that day."
Did you have anything to do with the murders of Abby or Libby?
Not at all, and I've gave up my DNA, a hair follicle test. I've done everything they wanted me to.
In December, Delphi investigators announced that catfish account Anthony Schatz was active on Instagram and Snapchat in 2016 and 2017, and they asked for anyone who interacted with that profile to come forward. But more than a year ago, then 26-year-old Keegan Kline admitted to investigators that he was behind the fake profile and that he used it to ask young girls for nude pictures and videos. Tell me about Anthony Schatz. Why did you create that profile?
I don't really know. I was just lonely, you know what I mean? Just talking to people. I don't know why I did it, really.
And were you ever trying to meet these girls in real life that you were talking to?
No, never.
Just 11 days after the murders of Abby and Libby, task force investigators served a search warrant on the home that Keegan shared with his dad. At the time, the FBI told the Lafayette Journal and Courier they found nothing to indicate a connection to the Delphi case. Keegan's electronics were confiscated then, but he wasn't arrested until 3 years later. He's now facing 30 counts of child pornography and child solicitation in Miami County, Indiana, unrelated to the Delphi murders. He says, though, that Indiana State Police told him Anthony Schatz had been communicating with Libby before her murder. So why do you think investigators are putting so much focus on you right now?
I have not a clue. I think it's because they said I was the last person to talk to her, is what they've told me.
And then she shows up at the bridge and they're abducted and later found dead.
Right.
And that was not you?
No, 100% not.
Keegan says he has no memory or knowledge of communicating with Libby, and investigators haven't confirmed if what he says is true. Do you think you're going to be charged with anything related to Abby and Libby's murder?
No, I don't.
So the state police haven't threatened that?
I can't read this guy.
No.
The Delphi murders investigation tonight.
Keegan Kline has not been charged in the killings of the 2 young girls, Abby Williams and Libby German, but his interview from police in August of 2020 is raising some questions about who else might have used those fake social media profiles that Kine created.
Rich and I dug through 194 pages of transcripts today looking for new information. So what'd you find, Rich?
Well, the transcript from the police interview was first obtained by a podcast called The Murder Sheet from a public court record that's now sealed. Kline gave the interview in August of 2020 after his arrest on child pornography and exploitation charges. The interview confirms the fake social media profile Anthony Schatz communicated with Libby German just before her disappearance. And in the police interview, Kline tells investigators, "I literally have no clue how that girl died. I don't know anything to do with it. Yeah, that is a weird coincidence that I happened to talk to her, like I get that." After the bodies of Libby and Abby were found on February 14th, 2017, investigators say the Anthony Schatz profile told someone that he was supposed to meet up with Libby, but she didn't show up. Investigators intensely and repeatedly asked Kline about whether his father had access to his devices at the home in Peru where they lived together. Kagan's father is Jerry Anthony Kline, and he pled guilty to harassment in a 2009 Howard County case. That's where he admitted making repeated sexually explicit phone calls to a woman. He goes by Tony Kline. He also has previous convictions for battery and theft.
So you think that Tony and Anthony is the connection to the name of
Well,
it?
it certainly raises eyebrows.
Right, certainly. All right, we'll be
Raises
keeping an eye on
eyebrows.
it. Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Rich.
Rich.
13 Investigates has learned that the connection of the Delphi murders to the Anthony Schatz fake social media profile started with another incident reported to police just days after the bodies of Libby German and Abby Williams were discovered.
We're getting steps and steps closer to solving this case. Rich Nye is digging deeper into the transcript now of a police interview with Kagan Kline to learn more about what led up to his arrest.
Well,
Rich?
again, first of all, it's very important to remind you that Kagan Kline is not charged with the killings of Libby German and Abby Williams. Kline has been held in the Miami County Jail for over a year and a half now on 30 charges of child pornography and exploitation. Investigators say he used the fake Anthony Schatz social media profile to communicate with underage girls and receive sexually explicit images. Police interviewed Kline at the time of his arrest in August 2020. They questioned him in that interview about another school-aged girl that gave her address to the Anthony Schatz profile just after the Delphi murders. Kline knew the girl in Galveston personally. The police told Kline that she comes home from school, sees this guy with a ski mask looking in her bedroom window directly after giving this address to Anthony Schatz. As a matter of fact, that's the incident that started everything else last time. That's how everything started last time, was that incident. And Kagan replied, "That's crazy." So here's the timeline and locations in north central Indiana. The bodies of Libby German and Abby Williams were discovered near a trail in Delphi in Carroll County on February 14, 2017. 6 days later, on February 20th, is that incident in Galveston in Cass County, where the girl that Kline knew had given her address to the Anthony Schatz profile. She saw a man in a ski mask looking in her bedroom window. And then on February 25th, police searched the home in Peru in Miami County, where Kline lived with his father. They found over 100 photos and videos of underage girls on several electronic devices. Police say the Anthony Schatz profile communicated with Libby German hours before her death. Police questioned Kline intensely about anyone else who may have had access to his devices, especially his father. Jerry Anthony Kline goes by Tony and has a criminal history that includes convictions of sexual harassment, battery, and theft. But Indiana State Police will not tell us at this point whether they have questioned Tony Kline about the Delphi murders.
German in Delphi, Indiana, want to talk to anyone who may have had contact with a man known as Anthony Schatz on social media. Remember last year, police said the man behind this page stole these photos and pretended they were him and talked to girls and teens on Snapchat and Instagram. Authorities now want to find anyone who talked to the man on an app called Yellow or Yubo. The man has not been charged in connection with the teens' murders, which happened in February of 2017.
New information about the murder of 2 young teenagers in Delphi and about a man investigators thought might be responsible for the crime.
The bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German were found 5 years ago, and their murders still remain unsolved tonight. Today, 13 investigators obtained a search warrant that's a request related to this investigation.
Senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel says the document sheds new light on the murders.
A month after Abby and Libby were murdered, an FBI special agent asked a judge to authorize a search warrant of the massive property where the bodies were found. The property was owned by Ronald Logan, and 13 News was there when officers served Logan a search warrant in March of 2017. The FBI got permission to search the entire property, including Logan's home, garage, his pickup truck, computers, and cell phones. Now we know exactly why the judge granted the warrant. In her request, the FBI agent wrote, "I believe there is probable cause to believe that Ronald Logan has committed the crime of murder, and evidence of that could be found on Ronald Logan's property." The special agent then went on to give plenty of information about why she believed Logan was responsible. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, the warrant request has new information about the crime scene that has not been released before. The FBI agent confirmed one of the victims was missing an article of clothing. There was no visible signs of a struggle or fight. At the crime scene, investigators recovered fibers and unidentified hairs. And the agent wrote, it also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged by whoever committed the murder. Now, as far as the FBI's interest in Logan, first, you might remember this chilling video that was recovered from Libby's cell phone. State police believe it shows the murder suspect telling the girls to go down the hill. State police released those few seconds of video in the hopes that the public might help identify the killer. In her warrant request, the FBI agent confirmed the video clip is actually 43 seconds long. And she said Logan's physical build is consistent with that of the male suspect videotaped by Libby on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Logan's voice is not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. The FBI agent also said Logan asked a relative to create a fake alibi for him for the afternoon the girls were reported missing. She also said cell phone tower data showed Logan's cell phone was in the area where the girls went missing the afternoon they disappeared. And later that night, cell phone tower data showed Logan's phone in proximity to where Libby and Abby's bodies were eventually found. Investigators also interviewed 2 women who had been in a relationship with Logan, and both reported that he was physically abusive. One told investigators Logan threatened her and said he could kill her and no one would find her body. Now, Ron Logan died in 2020. It's important to note he was never formally named a suspect or charged in the murders. This search warrant was first reported by the Murder Sheet podcast, and they shared the document with 13 News. If you'd like to read the search warrant, we have it posted right now at WTHR.com.
Well, guys, that's going to wrap it up. We had to rush through that one. I should have another video for you guys later tonight if I can find some time. I actually stumbled upon something very interesting and I cannot wait to share it with you. So keep an eye out for that. I would explain it to you, but I'm still working on it. So just keep your eyes peeled for that, okay, guys? But that's going to do it. I promise to get through this one a lot quicker than we did part 1. So for those of you who are unaware, this is actually part 2 of a 2-part segment. So go check out the first part. We're starting right at the beginning, watching all of the media unfold up until just up until last month. So I appreciate everybody for showing up. Until next time, bye.